Hi, I'm Phil Constantine. On this episode of Travels with Phil, we're going to a place that's beautiful, flat, wet, dry, and fast. Yes, we're going to the Bonneville Salt Flats, which are located in western Utah. Let's take a look at it on the map here. You can see Utah and the Bonneville Salt Flats are in the upper left-hand corner. And here is a view coming in from space in the western part of the United States. That's the Great Salt Lake on the right-hand side, and this is the Great Basin area, and that's the Bonneville Salt Flats. In this video, we're going to be looking at the absolute scenic beauty of the area, both wet and dry. This picture you're looking at right now has only got about an inch or so of water. How the salt flats were formed: it came from a lake about a quarter the size of Utah. Why is it so flat, and can you actually see the curvature of the earth? And most land speed records have been set here for over 100 years. And lots of other things to see out here in the area. This is one of my panoramic shots that I took there from a few years back. You can see some real pretty sights out here: sunrise, sunset, the night stars, quite lovely at times. But it is white when it is dry and the salt is up, and it is enormous. You can see all of these cars outside this quote-unquote island surrounded by salt. As I was driving there, I saw a mirage on the road and said, "Is that a mirage on the right?" Travels with Phil continues. And I'm at the Bonneville Salt Flats, only something's wrong. And it's not the acrobats practicing over here to the side, it's that it's underwater. It's rained out here, and that's Wendover over there. Supposedly, according to that sign, the Bonneville Salt Flats are about 7 miles in that way, that direction. Look at this. This person out here is probably a quarter of a mile away, and it's barely ankle deep. But those are the Bonneville Salt Flats. Nice reflection. Had a little bit of rain out here the last about a week or so ago, maybe less. Well, they had 3 of those storms that came through that were part of the typhoons coming in off the Pacific, which is what made me want to get out of Utah anyway, because of the snow. I assume they're posing for photography photos here. But that's it, the Bonneville Salt Flats, except in this case it's the Bonneville Salt Flats covered in a couple inches of water. It does look like people are walking on water out there. All right, Travels with Phil continues. And they also have a foot wash for your shoes or your feet. But surprisingly, the area can be very deceptive on how big it is. You can just keep driving and driving. If you ever saw the movie Buckaroo Banzai, that gives you an example. They're driving what seems like a long time going toward the mountains. And this is not fake. This is what it really, really looks like when you're out there. Well, how did this get here? Well, I'm going to tell you. For a long time, there have been lakes here in the central part of Utah, Nevada area, because it was what's called the Great Basin. There's no outflow from the area, surrounded by mountains or higher elevations, so water would accumulate around here. Now, this is a modern-day map. Well, about 30,000 years ago, up here, the Bear River, which used to flow north and come up here to the Snake River, around this area here of Soda Springs, there was an eruption, and lava flowed across the Bear River, and eventually it caused it to make a 180-degree turn, and it flowed back down in this general direction and entered what is now the Great Salt Lake. And in fact, the river still flows through here. Well, slowly over the years, this eventually caused this entire area up here to fill up with what was eventually called Lake Bonneville. Not during times, modern times, but later it was designated as Lake Bonneville. Well, the water rose and rose and rose until eventually it covered maybe a third of Utah, a couple hundred feet deep in several spots. In fact, if you look at the mountainsides around Salt Lake City, Utah Lake, those areas up there, you'll see where the elevations of the lake here changed numerous times. Well, eventually what happened was up around here, in this area up here, what it's called Red Rock Pass, the lake got so high that it eventually overflowed the top. They're not sure if it was an earthquake or just wore down by erosion because the water got so high, but a massive flood came through here, went this area, came down through American Falls, and then over here to Twin Falls. And in fact, as I change the picture up here, you'll see these spots here right around Twin Falls. This is nothing but scabland. Well, this is because these floods were so powerful that they literally ripped off all the land that was there. And over the space, this was about 17,000, 18,000 years ago. And for the space of about a month to a few months, this entire level of water from up around this area here flowed all the way out through here and lowered this spot. This is one of the reasons why it's so flat, because this was a basin to begin with, but because the water and sediment had set there and it would go up and down because of evaporation, etc., it became very flat with the salt and the minerals and the sediments on the bottom. Well, as the lake slowly dried up, the salt evaporated, and that's what led to the Bonneville Salt Flats over here, which again, this was all lake bed at one time, and even more so, even bigger than that. But you can see where the lake really was here by all of this coloring here, all of this white area. This is the last parts of the lake to dry up, and we still have the Great Salt Lake here and Utah Lake over here. And this is slowly but surely drying up as well, lacking enough water coming into the area and the evaporation, and because so many people have moved in since then in the larger metropolitan areas up here, the water's being pumped out as well to try to make a drinkable water out of it. But this is what led to the creation of the Bonneville Salt Flats over here, and this is why it's so flat, because it just sat there for a long time. A long, flat, dry surface makes for a great racetrack. It's been used for racing since around 1912. And you can see why some folks like to come out here and spin out and just drive around with no boundaries. Lots and lots of cars out there, people in all kinds of wild classes, different size engines, motorcycles, cars, trikes, rocket cars, piston cars, motorcycles as well.
It took me 41 years to get this red hat, whereas a lot of other people come up here and do it zip zip and that's it. It wasn't so easy for me.
This motorcycle has logged more miles and more time above 200 miles an hour than any motorcycle in history. 65, we broke the world gas record. In 66, we broke the absolute record.
So the salt out here goes through annual and seasonal cycles where it dissolves and then grows and dissolves and then grows in response to changes in the amount of rain and standing water and temperature driving that evaporation. So typically in the fall you get a lot of rain, and actually from about November till May there's a lake out here with standing water. You get dissolution of salt. But then through the spring and summer, if it's nice and dry, that water evaporates and you're left with this nice salt crust that sort of repaves every winter through that flooding, evaporation, and desiccation process.
High speed, though, is not without danger. You can see somebody here has suffered quite a bit of damage. And non-racers can still come out here to experience driving in wide open places. And again, another example of how long it just seems to be driving without making much headway. Have to go a long way to find others.
We're feeling great about the good salt this year and getting folks back out here land speed racing like they've done for decades.
Here's some of the other things you can do and see in the area. As you're driving out there from Salt Lake City, the Tree of Utah is the statue just on the east side of the road. The north side, I should say. Wendover, Nevada, some casinos and other places to eat out there. And the World War II atomic bomb flights trained here at Wendover. They have a museum. But can you see the curvature of the earth from here? Well, the simple answer is probably not, according to scientists. But some folks say from this hilltop in Wendover at night, looking toward the east, towards Salt Lake City, the vehicle headlights at night look like they are curving. Optical illusion? Reality? I can't say. So Bonneville, beauty, geology, speed, and wide open spaces. A lot of experiences to offer to a lot of people. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please feel free to make comments below as long as the language is family friendly. And if you like this video, please click on the thumbs up button below. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the circle with my picture in it in the lower right hand corner of the video. The arrow is pointing at it now. And once you have subscribed, you can be notified of when I have a new video posted by clicking on the bell icon in the description field below the video. Thanks again for watching.